Camera's rolling.
Maybe I'm too young to know any better, but I guess I'm just too old to care. I'm waiting on the morning light to clear the air. Now the sky is wrong with regret, letting go that you pay flags. All the silence that keep me coming back. I'm the one that you hated. You know, the one you didn't want to believe, the one that you hated. Take a look at it now. I'm the mess you created, the one that you hated. Now the sky is wrong with regret, letting go that you pay flags. All the silence that keep me coming back. I'm the one that you hated. You know, the one you didn't want to believe, the one that you hated. Take a look at it now. I'm the mess you.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Dad Talk. It is Friday. A lot going on this week. I just wanted to come on here and give some updates. Do me a favor, if you're watching this, please like, share, subscribe, and help us get the message out. We have been going full blast over the past couple of weeks behind this John Mass case, and to be honest with you, it's not over. Seems like it's just starting up. A lot of the hard work is just now on the way. We got a lot of good stuff coming to you. Just wanted to update everybody that has been following this case. Following the verdict of John, we started working harder than we was before. We have talked to so many people, guys, and we got a lot coming out on this story that you haven't heard before. But if you got any questions or anything about the trial, what you've seen thus far, put them down there. Or if you just want to talk about something, please, bring it in here. That's what this is for. But yeah, man, I mean, we sat there and watched live, guys, as this verdict got read out. And we're still reeling from it. At the same time, it just showed us, we got to start working even harder. These cases, guys, whether it's John's, whether it's Tyrone Darling's, whether it's Chad Reed, Justin Goolsby's is coming up. And so is Alex out of Virginia. That was one of the shows we did earlier this year. There's more of these custody exchange murders that are coming up. And we've seen 3 of them so far. I mean, Jim didn't get away with it. He got voluntary manslaughter, which blows my mind. Just completely blows my mind. At the same time, Chad Reed's killer got completely off, not even a tap on the wrist. And now in the Tyrone Darling case, where he was shot on his way to work, pushing his baby in a stroller, his ex didn't even get indicted by the grand jury. Every one of these so far has been jury trials. So I definitely want to make sure that we are sounding the alarm on this. One thing that's been very common that I hear from people is how they want to get jury trials and stuff like this. I don't know that doesn't look like that's working that great so far. That kind of worries me a little bit. As far as I Stand With John, the movement continues, and what we are going to be doing is making I Stand With John Part 2. I am in the middle of fundraising for that. There is a lot of footage. It's already been handed over to the editor, but in the meantime, I still have people coming forward on this. We have gotten to talk to one juror so far. We have gotten to, and I would love to talk to more of you. I promise to be respectful and everything, but I'd love to hear from you because I believe there is a lot in this that you didn't get to hear. I've had 2 witnesses so far that watched Jim Brashear take the life of John Mast that has came forward. I had somebody that's worked in the Lewiston Police Department for decades stepping forward. that has gave me some interesting information. I've had two supervised visitation directors that have came on the record that worked with John's case. And there is more still coming. We still have interviews going. So one thing that I would like to put out there, if there's anybody that's got any information on this case that knew John or knew something that has not been said yet, please reach out to us there on Dad Talk Today's Facebook. We'd love to hear from you. This isn't something like we've ever done before. I mean, really, we call this a podcast. This is so much more than that. We have been really deep, diving deep into the investigations and trying to find out, like, what's going on. There were some people that denied us an interview. Not surprised. I think we were very nice. We were very respectful. We obviously had a lot of emotions tied to this case. I definitely did. I know the rest of the team did. And it's sad because from what I've seen so far, you know, I'm trying to bring awareness on what's going on with these custody exchange violence. And so far, the majority of the ones that I've reported on, all of the ones that I've reported on that have went to trial so far, the killer's getting away with it. I don't know what to say, man. I don't know what to say. Guys, you should be alarmed. You should be concerned. Because right now it feels like it's open season on fathers. And I have to believe if this was the other way around, we wouldn't be seeing it go down like we're seeing it go down right now. But it is. And we can't stop. There's more of these about to go to trial. And if it showed me anything, it showed me that we've got to push even harder than we ever have. With these custody exchange murders, when they first happen, they become a headline, they become an article, and people are just all over it like white on rice. I Stand With John was going viral. You know, it was watched over 2 million times there on YouTube. The case had definitely had a lot of eyeballs on it when we were streaming it. But what happens is it gets red hot, and then as time goes on, it starts going down. I almost feel like that's a tactic because right then when you got so much support, it's really hard to do whatever you're wanting to do. You know, it took 2.5 years to get to that point with John. And then for that to happen, it's really sad. Same thing took a while for Chad Reed. Tyrone Darlings went a little bit quicker than any of them because we was there earlier this year. Okay. But yeah, man. Dave, he said, what did the juror state? I'm going to let you guys know. Not yet. I'll just put it out there. It sounds like, okay, the defense did a good job at saying there was more about John that they weren't being able to hear. Planted a seed of doubt, which we kind of figured would be happening. You know, the sad thing is when John was alive, he fought for his innocence. That's the reason he was to get his kids that day. Even in his death, the silver bullet still haunts him. It does. And I think the reason I'm so emotionally invested in this case, you know, a couple months before John got killed, he was on here with Dad Talk, where I'm sitting right now. I was talking to John. I interviewed John. John came to me to get his story out. And I knew once this happened, I owe it to him, man, to continue getting that story out because I knew the other side of it. And I knew because of the details behind this case, because he was accused of these things, what was going to happen. We live in a cruel world that doesn't look for the information. They look for what information they want so that they can pick a side, put their feet in the ground and say, hey, this is where I stand with it. I think a lot of people are going to be ashamed that had preconceived notions on this case when they get to see all of the evidence, when they get to see what went on and say, man, you know, one of the comments I got on I Stand With John the other day, and you know what? I appreciate you saying this. It's a little too late. But one of them was, you know, I realized I was on one side, and after watching I Stand With John, you were on the right side. Yeah, man, that's powerful words. Powerful words. But that is the reason for part 2. I think it's going to give you guys a very big insight at just how big this battle is. Okay. I have been fundraising for this part 2. There was no plans for this to happen. And then when that verdict came down, it was like, look, dude, we're in town for another 4 days. We could go home. We could give up. A lot of us were tired at that point, devastated. We said, no, man, we've told people how crooked this system is. Well, you got to see it. Now's the time to push even harder and to open this up a little bit more and just show just how deep this thing went. And I believe we did a very, very good job at it. I am not going to take a long time to get this one out like we did the first one. That's why I'm fundraising. I've got a professional editor on it. We had a professional film crew up there. I want to get this thing out. In order to do it, I need you guys' help. For those of you that have not heard, let me go ahead and take this down. I'm doing a fundraiser. Anybody at the $100 level will get to put their name in the credits. They'll get to make a statement either about the family court, support to John, or what this case has meant to them. But also we had, and I know the actual Dad Talk Today, Facebook and YouTube hasn't heard this yet. So if you've been following me on my personal page, you're probably going to hear some stuff that you've already heard. I hate doing fundraising, but at this point in time, we're going to need it to fight for this movement. There was a lady in the local Lewiston area that donated a car, guys, for us to raffle off. So for any of you that have contributed towards making this film, you're automatically going to be entered into that raffle giveaway at the $100 level. So you'll get to make that statement at the end. I'll come on a live, let you watch me put the names in a hat, and then we'll draw it. It was a 94 Crown Vic with a police interceptor in her. It's named the Judy Ann. It's named after her. But just hearing her say how much that car meant to her. That was her husband and hers car, and they had a lot of memories in it. He died back in 2017. But when she saw this, she said, you know, I got to do something. I believe in what Dad Talk is doing and the challenges that these dads are going through. And it was very emotional. I need to play it for you guys. Very, very emotional. After that, there was another gentleman that reached out. He's like, hey, I got a car I want to give away. It's an 81 Datsun. I was like, look, man, I got my hands full with this one so far. It's like, if you want to sell it and put it towards the making of this film, please do. But then after that, there was another guy that was like, man, I'm restoring my Land Rover right now, 03 Land Rover 4-wheel drive. I want to donate that too. It'll be ready in the spring. And I was like, thank you. But there's some out of the box ideas just to be able to raise. Right now, I checked my inbox before I came on here. We are at $4,900 that we have raised so far. Awesome. In the grand scheme of things, we're about 10% of the way where I'd like to be. I want to make sure that this gets more airplay than anything we have ever done. So it's not just the shooting of it. But I've still got a camera guy up there. Again, if there's somebody in the Lewiston area that has not got to speak and thinks he got some critical information to this case, I can have somebody over to your house or wherever you want to meet like that to interview, to give us some information. And we are looking for it. And I promise, whoever it is, we will treat you with respect, even if some of the information might upset us. We would treat you with respect because it's about sitting down and getting all the information out there and saying, hey, look at what happened here. Okay. And I believe there's going to be a lot of hearts and minds that are going to be changed when they see this. I have been getting way, way more support from that local Lewiston area that are just completely devastated as to that verdict. There was something going on, guys. I just can't put my finger on it. I can't put my finger on it. But we're going to find out. And we're going to keep pushing. We're going to keep fighting for John. The story is not over. I know there's been several people that I have heard from since. I want to tell my story. I got a story similar to John. Well, that makes this story even more important. One of the ways that you can show people, hey, this is what I'm going through, is to take a story that you're not attached to and show it to them. Hey, watch this. Watch this. See what this guy went through. You know, if you watched I Stand With John Part 1, dude, he went through everything that you could possibly go through. Wow. This is amazing. Sophie got in $100. Thank you. Thank you. I can't tell you how much I appreciate this. Let me say something. So we're at $5,000 now. I absolutely loathe, despise with every fiber of my being fundraising. I don't even fundraise to keep this show going, and I need to because there's so much involved. That's just the honest part of it. I've seen more people that, you know, fight for men's rights or fathers' rights arguing over money, and this is the donations, blah, 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 to the point that I was like, you know what? I found something that I could do on the side. I restore classic cars and get rid of them. That's what I've been doing to keep my head above water and to keep this going. At the same time, it's hindering us from being able to do what we need to do. We are fighting a multi-billion-dollar industry. Now, I want you to think about this, guys. There is billions and billions and billions of dollars in grants, in government grants, to promote this agenda against fathers and through the VAWA. We are throwing rocks at people who have machine guns. It's a hypothetical thing, Facebook, but that's what it feels like. At some point in time, we got to say, okay, I mean, think about that. Podcast, over 1 million followers. What we've raised so far, and I've been doing this nonstop, is less than 90% of the people who fight a family court battle. One family court battle. We are fighting on behalf of millions, and we need the help. We got to do something about that censorship right there. You see those numbers? Almost 1 million something followers. It is over. It's like 1.2 million. And that's what we get. Okay? When it comes into doing what we need to do, I want to do it the best that I can to represent this movement. We need to make media for the people, by the people. One thing that I've commonly heard about this is we need to get mainstream media on it. Why? I hope there is as much media as we can get out on it. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, you don't want to touch a case until you think you can get some ratings off of it. You know what's going to happen the next time something like this happens? You're going to be wishing, man, I wish mainstream media would cover this. Why won't they talk about it? And it's going to be for every case after that. Why? Because it's not what they do. If you want to be represented in the media, we have to become the media, guys. You understand? We are in the age of independence. When you live in a time like right now, Joe Rogan, a podcast, gets bigger ratings than all of the media organizations combined. I'm not saying this to be political. I'm just wanting to make a point. Tucker Carlson, sure you know who he is, his highest ratings, if I'm not wrong, on his show when he was on Fox, one of the major news networks, it was like 3.5 million. He did an interview last week that broke the all-time record, and he just did it on Twitter. Just on Twitter, over 200 something million views. We live in a time where we can create the media and represent our own. That's where the power is. I don't want to sell my soul to anybody. That's why we're taking the steps that we're doing right now. And I do believe it will. I do believe it will pay off. Brandy Johnson, thank you. Here is a lady. And if guys, you would like to do something similar, it would be very cool. She started a GoFundMe for this and is running it on her own on behalf of Dad Talk. Thank you, Brandy. Been very, very big help on this. And I just want to say thank you to the moms out there that's seeing this BS go on too. Okay. Here's a mom that's had her own issues in family court, but she's out here fighting with the dads too, and has been fighting for John since day one. So thank you so much. But Cash App or Venmo, Dad Talk Today, no spaces. Actually, if you look down here at the bottom left of the screen, up under that comment, there's the links right there. Thank you, Kathy. Well past time we learned to cherish the gift of a father's love. I stand with John. Guys, keep that I stand with John just going. Just keep it going. Dave said, so basically the prosecutor dropped the ball. I don't want to say that. I did get to interview the prosecutor. As much as we was streaming the whole thing, there is so much you guys didn't get to see. Okay. And when this comes out, you're going to get to see it because I've been told, like, we can get the evidence, the confession video. I want you guys to see it. The confession video in the back of the cop car. I think anybody that would have saw that would have thought, what else do you need? I don't know that anything would have made a difference, Dave. I can't tell you anything would have made a difference. You had a father that was accused of something, and all you had to do was plant that seed of doubt. The silver bullet is one of the most dangerous things, guys, on the face of this earth. We do. Brandy said, we all owe it to John. So many of us are John. It's imperative that this blows up for the sake of children everywhere. Yeah, I agree so much. Mike Simmons, if the grand jury fails to indict, does that close the door to future investigations? I do believe so, man. You know, it's crazy in these type of cases now. If the defense feels like there was a mistrial or doesn't get the outcome they want, they can appeal. The state gets one stab at it, I believe. That could be different in other states, but I believe, yeah. Alienated Grandma there on YouTube said, these cases are a form of domestic violence, and if it was switched and mothers were getting taken out, all the feminist radicals would be screaming for justice. I'm with you. I'm with you. I just can't see that outcome happening if it was the other way around. Couldn't. Up your food game. Dad talked today. It would be so good to get an interview with one of the jurors. The jury represents the general public, and as we saw, gaslighting still works on the uninitiated. I definitely agree. You know, I will tell you, you know, we were told we were okay by the judge to talk to the jurors, and so when they was on their way out, Robert Garza had some cards, was wanting to talk to them. They all threw their hands up and said no. And it wasn't just a no, thank you, or anything. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't want to do. It seemed pretty harsh. So the fact that we've got one to talk was pretty amazing. But I saw no remorse in the decision that was made. What they are trying to do, not talking about the jury, but what I feel like people are trying to do, I've seen the Save Our Children. They're trying to make it look like we don't believe the children and that we're trying to take up for abusers. That's what's going on. We don't believe the children. We take up for the abusers. And yeah, that's what they would love to paint us as. It's sickening, man. Speaking up for these dads is speaking up for the children. Speaking up for John was speaking up for kids. Those kids are now without a dad, they're without a grandfather, and they've got a lot to contemplate when they get older and find out the reasons why. Family court has created this controversy. It has created this controversy that encourages parents to throw mud at each other all day long. And when you go to family court, you're not there to pay compliment or learn how to co-parent. You are there to sling as much mud as you can to discredit the one that you're up against. And what that does is it encourages conflict. It increases billable hours for litigation. That's why I think attorneys love that. Yeah, it just completely tears apart so many relationships. You know what? People grow apart. But there is a way that you can do this without hating each other. You created a child. Maybe we don't get along. Maybe we don't love each other romantically anymore, but we can come together for the child. But by the time, divorce is over and they go through these family courts, they absolutely hate each other. And the kids are the reason that they're still connected. The family courts have so much blood on their hands, man. So much, especially in this case. Pissed off parent there on YouTube. Dad Talk today is diving headfirst into an area that needs to be put into the light. This is unfortunately an area that needs awareness. Please share this stuff and get the word out. I appreciate that, man. I mean, I agree. We definitely broke some new ground on what we did over the past couple of weeks. It was a learning experience for me. Well, let me tell you guys, being so emotionally invested in this case, being there and everything, I didn't realize how much I was involved inside of this case, just like consuming me, until I got back to Georgia and could say, okay, you can rest now. And then, bam, it's like, whoa. Thought about all we did, everywhere we went. I mean, we drove almost like 1,000 miles after the case was over to go get interviews. In that period, it's crazy, man. And we're going to need the people's help. Unfortunately, we can't do it without you. I get nonstop, hey, you need to talk about my case. Hey, you need to cover this one. Hey, you need to do this one. I'm one guy. I've got some people that help, but even then, our crew couldn't have took on any more than what we did. We took on more than we really could handle at that point in time, and I'm glad of that. I like trying to reach that goal, but we're not equipped for it. And when you become a voice, people attribute when something goes on, well, you need to do this. We do what we can, and we grow alongside of you guys. And when you get unfairly judged, if you don't pay attention to every comment or every message of somebody asking for help, you've got ulterior motives or something. Guys, this movement really needs to sit back and take a look at itself in the mirror. They do. It's unfair. And somebody asked about the case. If you go back last week, we definitely did everything we could to report on this one. It would be hard for me to go back through and explain it to you, but you had several hours of us following and reporting on this case. Up Your Few Game said, good evening, Eric, and to all parents putting their children first. From England. I'll be there in October. Has anyone else noticed that murder for hire plots, etc., from family court cases has risen dramatically in the past year? Oh, absolutely, dude. Not just that. The filicide cases where they kill themselves and kill the kids if they lose custody. The night that we had the verdict, the case was reported to me out of Waverly, Florida, where a dad had just won custody of his kids, so mom was going to have to hand them over. And that day, instead of handing them over, she killed herself and killed her 2 kids. That's not one of those Lone Ranger cases. If you look this up, this is going on all the time. All the time. Custody exchange murders. All the time. It is not a sexy issue. The mainstream media is not going to report on it. And again, guys, I know it sounds like I'm repeating myself sometimes, but I want people to realize my stance and how I really feel on this. Next year, we have election. It's already, everything is about politics. Getting out issues like this, especially through the mainstream, where people think, oh, we need to get this mainstream media on it. Getting out cases like this is going to become next to impossible. Politics create ratings. It creates division. It creates comments on social media. It gets donations. It gets people picking sides. It's what the media loves. Getting stuff like this is going to be next to impossible. The time to create our own media is now. And it sucks because of the limited resources. All we have right now is social media, and we hope that they send you a notification when we go live. So far, we're not reaching 0.0001% of our audience because they don't send out the notifications for it, which is why I would say, if you're following this, make sure to subscribe on YouTube and then make you go through another hoop. You got to subscribe, then ding the bell. If you do that, you'll get notified for when we go live. Okay. I'd rather, if you're following the show, I'd rather you do that on YouTube because I think they're a little bit more, they're a lot better about giving you the notifications. Social media really sucks because they will decrease your numbers in hopes that you're going to boost it to get your show out, or any information for that matter of fact. If you go into the advertising, like on Facebook, one of the options is boost this to people who like your page. Why am I paying you to get out information for people who followed me to get my information in the first place? Right? It's kind of crazy. So YouTube is where I would say do that, or the Substack. The Substack, from what I've seen, it's been hard to grow. At the same time, I can send out newsletters. I can send out notifications like this once you sign up for that. And we've got to be better organized. And we can stay here with these traditional tools that we've had, and we'll get what we've always had, or we can go try something different. And I would beg you guys, try something different. Please. You want to see the movement grow? It can grow. We just set precedents up in Idaho over the past couple weeks. We definitely need your help. Walk This Way Media said you guys did a mini doc on a case like that. I think he's talking about where the mom killed herself and then killed the kids. Yes. If you go on YouTube, there is a link on Dad Talk, or a video on Dad Talk called Nobody Listened. It's only a 10-minute mini documentary. I covered this case too. I've had the father on the show. Another guy that went through false allegations, fought, showed that he was innocent. I mean, I'm just going to give you the condensed down version. One day he's going down the road and somebody wrecks into him. He's all discombobulated and he looks around and he sees his ex and she's got his kid in the back. What is she doing? Calling the cops saying, hey, he was stalking me. And he just wrecked into me. This is a guy that was completely caught off guard. They get him, he goes to court, they put him in jail. You were stalking her. You've already had these allegations made on you. And he was like, no. He had to wait a bit, stay in jail. He goes back to the court. Luckily, there was video that caught this. Imagine this, man. Had there not been video to show what really happened, this is a guy that there's no telling what the consequences would have been on this. The judge had to rule the way he saw it. He said, ma'am, there was somebody following somebody that day, but it wasn't him following you. You were following him. I saw it. And because she was caught in the lie, wrecked into his car, he was going to get his kid. The judge said, you got to hand over the kid. Here's the crazy twist. Same thing like in Florida. The judge said, show up here 1 week later to get the kid. What did the father do at that point? He went to everybody, judge, cops, CPS, his attorneys, and said, if you don't give me custody of my son now, she's going to kill him. He told everybody. Nobody listened. That's why it was named that. On the day she was to hand her son over, she killed herself and killed the 1.5-year-old baby boy. He's a real story, you guys. It's not about being dark. This isn't about being sensational. These are real stories that are happening. You know how he gets to see his son now? He's got his ashes in a box. That's how we got to see his son too. Nobody listened. In this case of John Mass, it's like nobody listens. Kathy Johnson said Brandy Hutchins killed herself and her children to avoid relinquishing their son to his father per court order. Yes, that was the name. And so I'm guessing that one's starting to get a little bit of coverage now. Lauren Vander Esch. So me and my ex are no longer together. What's the best way about having a new woman meet my child? Do I wait for the mother to approve or just take my daughter around without her mom's permission? I'm going to give you some brotherly advice. Look, nothing I say on here is legal advice or anything like that. But I'm just going to give you my take because I've been through this, Lauren. Okay. And I learned my lessons. When I talk on here, it's not because I'm Mr. Perfect Dad or anything. It's like, dude, I made every mistake you could. I did. And dating is one of those that's very hard. Unless you know that is the person you want to be with, and that could take some time. Be careful introducing them to your child. Because the last thing you want is your child to start getting attachment with somebody, and then you two break up like you did with mom, and then you're going on to the next person. It just keeps putting them through more and more hurt. There's going to be cases where the mom's never going to approve. And it might be the same for a lot of these guys. There's going to be cases where he's never going to approve of who mom's with. I do believe time heals wounds. I believe you need to, really reevaluate yourself. Another thing I would say to guys, if you just got through a divorce or a breakup with your child's mom, give yourself some time to heal so you can sit back and assess, where did I go wrong? What did I do wrong? Because this is more common than you'll ever know. These guys hop back into another relationship and do the same thing. There was red flags there, and they don't see them until after it's done went sour. Take some time. If I was you, man, take some time. Make sure that's who you want to be with. And then maybe introduce them to your child. You need to know that's who you plan on being with before doing that. Hopefully. A lot of you guys agree. Okay, I'm seeing some stuff here. Let me look at the phone. John just brought in a donation. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. We're at 5,100 now. Yeah. So Pissed Off Parent says, ought to play that video of John with his kids that was posted recently. That says it all. There was a lot of videos, and John Mast's profile is public. You can go on there and see the videos. It'll break your heart, man. Robert Slavin, they made us abusers long ago. That's why the boys want to be girls, that they being raised by women. Pissed Off Parent, almost like the jury was prejudiced. That is one of the reasons why the silver bullet is called the silver bullet. Dude, and once you go through that, I know there's people, the silver bullet is not real or whatever. It's a nickname, guys. It seems like once you go through those accusations, you are guilty until proven innocent. And it's very hard to prove your innocence. And in this case with John, I don't know what else you could have done. I really don't. I don't know what else you could have done. I don't know that anything would have made a difference. And like I said, man, I've never been through that. I've definitely had lies put out on me. But as far as physical abuse or sexual abuse, I haven't been through that one, man. But the reason I fight for it is because I was one of those that had to step outside of my comfort zone and say, okay, we're in there's these people that are in the middle of a custody battle. They're fighting over the house, cars, retirement funds, everything. And then the children are caught in the middle. For somebody losing in family court, it could mean a complete change in their life for 18 to 21 years. Is there incentive for somebody to lie? Absolutely. Would it be tempting for somebody who is losing a case or that doesn't think they can make their point to go and say, you did this, because it is such a strong allegation that I can go from the losing side to the winning side automatically? Yes. Is there videos on the internet of attorneys talking about the silver bullet and encouraging clients to do it and talking to other attorneys about it? Yes. Is there any consequences for the person that uses that silver bullet if they get caught in a lie? Is there any consequences for them? No. I had to step outside of my own comfort zone and say, these guys that are coming to me saying they're falsely accused of one of the worst things that somebody could be accused of. Could they be telling me the truth? My original stance, and I was like this probably for the majority of the first year of Dad Talk, when I heard about the silver bullet cases, I wanted nothing to do with it. I would try to get away from the conversation as much as I can. And guys, look, I'm man enough to apologize to you right now and let you know I was learning too. Okay. And at least I can come on here and admit it to you. I was learning too. And I definitely had a change of heart, but it took a lot. So do I realize why people act like that? Yes, I do. I do. They don't get the other side of the information. What is there out there for them to look into the other side of the information? If they're not going through it, they don't care. So how do you get them to look at it? Media, for one. Documentaries like we're making, for one. Do I believe it's the magic answer? No. But I do believe it'll help. Looks like I got somebody wanting to join us down here. I think he might be a little pissed off.
Perfect intro. Hi, everybody.
What's up, man?
I saw you get on live here, and obviously, been tuning in, especially during the trial. Again, thank you and everything that you and the team has done, getting out there to Idaho and sitting down and dealing with all that stuff, and showing the world what I mean. It's one of those. You pulled back the layer on this one, or pulled back the cover and exposed and showed exactly how this stuff works.
So there is somebody I want to give some credit to, and you'll have to excuse me, man. I had somebody that told me to reach out to you at one point in time. Life gets going, and I just completely forget about it. But he just commented down here on YouTube, and so I think this would be one to definitely check out. Our Nevada judges.
Oh, yes.
ACLU is representing us on a lawsuit to open up family court. We recorded the Supreme Court arguments. A ruling is coming down soon. Dwayne from DSD had told me about this gentleman right here, and he has covered many court cases like you saw us do in Idaho last week. And so I might even need to pick your brain, because I'm going to tell you, it was one of the hardest challenges that I've had, getting that set up and going through that. But here is another one, guys. If you want to see what's going on inside those courts, he's been doing this for a while, I believe. So
quite a while. Yeah,
information.
The proper person. If you go on YouTube and look under the proper person, you got a lot of good information. Has been putting out a lot of good stuff over the years. And yeah, he was, I don't know if he was the first or one of the first that got access consistently in courts and showing what's really happening. Done a lot of good work.
Well, that was the thing. I'm looking back at it now. The movement got to see what happened throughout that week, and then the verdict. If we wouldn't have been there doing what we were doing, I would have had to come back and tell you all this. And it would not have resonated the way that it's probably resonating with you now. It just wouldn't. You got to see it for yourself. The only thing you didn't get to see was the evidence. And we're gonna show you that. We're gonna get you that confession video and amongst some other things.
Yeah, there was a little bit of audio, but I mean, the pictures, all the information, you got to see the witnesses, got to hear the witnesses. There was no way to tell someone the story of what happened in that case. You had to be there. I mean, one of the biggest things was that afternoon when we're sitting there listening to them give the results of that case, and you heard what happened. I thought I misheard. I mean, I'm old. I'm 51. I thought I misheard what was being said. I had to we rewind it and go back through it. I was shocked. My wife and I were sitting here watching it along with everybody else, and it was just, my jaw dropped. I mean, I can't dramatize this. My jaw dropped. I could not. I wanted to say there was hope. There was just so much evidence. There's so much information, confession, everything that I mean, behind the scenes, I was going, okay, maybe there are, because they deliberated for 8 hours. I mean, a day, or I think a full day, or half a day, and then the other half a day. And I'm like, well, they're probably doing murder 1, murder 2. They want to look at the evidence, which is probably a good thing because they wanted to hear the confession again or whatever. And when they came back with that,
yeah, and this is it, man. For the people that have tried to unfairly label us, these mean father's rights conspiracy theorists. This was a dad that was accused. Okay. They said the kids were scared of him. At that point in time, nothing else mattered. Nothing. Don't have to prove it to you. We're not looking at the body language coming from the defendant, looking back at the family all the time. We're not looking at the people that's trying to get off the stand 4 different times. We're not hearing any of this other stuff. It was a bad dad. It was a bad dad, Dwayne.
Yeah.
That's all it needed.
Yeah. Once you get the silver bullet, you've got the silver bullet. You can't escape it. And that's why that it's called the silver bullet. I mean, someone levies that at you. There is nothing you can do to change that, even unfortunately in death. I mean, this haunted him. I was just floored. I didn't want to say, we're the pool's up to 5,200, I think. 51, 5,200?
We had 2 donations that came in while we're on to that, and that's in transparency, guys, that was $100 donations, so that's 5,100. If you would, not to stay on donations too long, down there, Cash App, Venmo. I know not everybody has those two. It just makes it so much easier. I've had a very hard time getting your donations from YouTube. They need my tax information. I have submitted it to them 10 times so far, and they're like, "This ain't the right document." I've been on the phone with them. It's I don't know. It's that one's been a hard one. I've had no other challenges with any other platform but that particular one. So, but if you do that, and let me say this again because it's the only way I'm going to be able to keep up with it, guys. This is not being mean. I love you to death. It's why we're doing what we're doing, or I would have gave up a long time ago. I'm going to put this email out there. It is not for anything else but this right here. Okay. It is not coming to me, even though it's got my name on it. Eric@dadtalktoday.com is the email address. Once you make that donation, my secretary is keeping record of everybody that's done the donation and then getting your statements for the end of that film to put on there. Do me a favor. Don't use kids' names or anything. You can use your name. You got to be careful in what you do. Make sure that you are respectful in the statements that you put out. Be watching for an email to make sure it was confirmed. Okay, this is good. This is what we're going to be using. But for anybody that donates at that $100 level, okay, we're going to get your statement to put at the end of the film. Plus, you're entered to get the Judy Ann, the car. That is so cool, dude. Dude, I mean, that lady is an absolute sweetheart.
She was awesome.
Oh, man.
Yeah, just listening and seeing you guys interact and everything, and you can tell it's a sweet lady donating that car that her and her husband making memories in. We'll leave it general. I'm sure they were young ones.
What was funny is her son was sitting right across from her. Good for him. And he started. You can hear him in the background. La 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 la.
Yeah, let's see. It's a 93 Interceptor. How old was her son? Just throwing it out there. Wonder.
He's a little bit older than me, so.
Oh, okay. I was thinking maybe in the 25-year-old range. Anyway, so I know we're going.
You, Judy Ann. I mean, it's your car. Have fun with it. You know, be young. Age is just a number. I think it's beautiful when couples still, love each other and have excitement and stuff like that. That's what it's supposed to be, man. It's what it's supposed to be. I won't get into details with it. I don't blame you. But the car is it's been cleaned. It's restored.
Scotch guarded.
Yeah, it's actually at a shop being restored. So you're good. You're good. But it meant so much to her, Dwayne, because it was her and her husband's car, and he died back in 2017. So this is getting giving away a piece of her heart.
Paying it forward,
right? A very big piece of her heart. But she was just dead set on it. I believe in what you're doing with Dad Talk. And not only that, dude, she bought meals for the crew probably 3 or 4 different times. And there was no telling her no. I want to help you guys. And so just a beautiful heart, man. And we met so many people up there like that. And that's the hard thing about doing what we're doing is I'm not trying to look down on Lewiston as a whole.
Yeah.
I've gotten some information that's going to blow people's mind. I've got people that worked at that police department. I have got some of the witnesses. I've got some of the stuff coming out that, again, it's going to blow your mind. I want it in the form of media. So when this comes out, you get the full picture. No more guesswork. It's out. Watch this. You don't have to ask any more questions.
Right.
Because at this point in time, I feel like it's protecting John's name.
Yeah.
That's what it is for me. It's not about anything else. Okay. I'm not selling this thing. I'm not putting advertising, anything else on it. I want to clear John's name because I know what John went through. I knew the information. I had seen the documents. When I have to go to the media and send them documents to say, why aren't you presenting this side? We got lazy journalism.
Yeah.
It's bad that a podcast can come all the way from Georgia. Yeah, that has no journalism background or anything.
Into their back door.
Better than anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, you're in their town, and they're the ones reporting misinformation, timely, I might add. And then, you having to correct it. Yeah, there's just so much there. It does go to show, though. I mean, you've got, Lewiston is, kind of a black mark on their record, and there's a lot more information coming out on it. But there are good people in Lewiston. I mean, just because you had again, the lady, and then all the people, the meals, the camaraderie. I mean, yeah, there's good people in bad towns that want this stuff exposed.
And in transparency, that's in every town.
Yeah,
We know. We
Kind of
know.
what I'm getting at. Yeah.
But there is some stuff going on there. I mean, when you have somebody that comes and give critical information, like a testimony to the case on the investigation,
Yeah.
and 2 days later go into jail for indecent exposure to kids. How many of
Yeah.
you know this? Like, I don't want to give away too much about the film, but I want the information out there. Do you know it was one of the family members that found the casing the next day? One of the lost casings. He was shot 3 times. So if you didn't have 3 casings, where did it go? The sister found the casing the next day and had to call him like, dude, here it is. I just found it. That's
Like that Mulberry, is that Barney Fife on that one? What's going on here?
what was
Ooh.
the episode of Barney Fife with the bullet in his pocket?
Exactly. Yeah, you had the one. Yeah. They were in Mulberry, and jeez, yeah. I mean, this is one, and again, I know everyone's got their case, they've got their person, but this is one that everyone needs to rally behind. There was just so much information on it. It's got such exposure, and this is the one that can get this in the national or the worldwide spotlight. We just need to get behind it.
I'm going to tell you, dude, I highly doubt a lot of them are watching this. Some of them, maybe. They was all on it when the trial itself was going down, but I do believe the documentary is going to be different. To get comments like that, I was on a side, and then after watching this, I realized you were on the right side. That's powerful, man.
Yeah.
And
You
it's
got
just
people that change their
powerful
minds.
And like I said, at this point in time, it is about clearing up John's name, dude. I don't know how the guy did it. Was he a perfect father? No. Look, he got into the same situations that a lot of us did.
Yeah.
No, we're not saying he was perfect or the saint or anything like that, but holy crap, man. I mean, when you see all this, what else do you need?
Yeah. A lot of this is clearing his legacy for his kids, because they're going to obviously watch this at some point if they haven't already.
We're allegedly, he's thinking that.
Right. This is something. This is just one though that everyone needs to get behind, and do what they can. And again, if you can't contribute money, like, share, subscribe. It's that simple.
Yeah, dude. I mean, our numbers aren't nowhere near what it was when the trial was going. And so here's the thing, guys. Here we go, being reactive instead of proactive again. We should be breaking the records before these things happen, right? And if we could keep that viewership and that support up, we can get somewhere. But when you get all this support, and what happens? Guys get out there, they start working. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this, thinking that they're going to have the support of the community, and then it just disappears.
And
the person is stuck there with just his passion and out without the tools to do it with.
Yeah.
And that's been my story
since the get-go,
since the very beginning.
Yeah.
You got expectations. You need to do all this, but all I'm going to put on this is a Facebook comment or expectation. I don't want to see it happen.
Right. We need to get behind you. We need to do something, but then don't do anything. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, something that just kind of occurred to me, and it's hopefully people can kind of follow along with it, is the Amber Alerts, kind of taking this, what you're trying to do with it. But Amber Alerts, when those came out and a kid was taken, what did everybody assume and think when they first started happening? Someone stole the kid. What have we learned from, people like you putting the information out there, showing that it wasn't, the kid being stolen by some random person. It was usually the father wanting to spend time with his child, and the mother decided that wasn't going to happen, so she put an Amber Alert out. I mean, we've seen that happen more and more now because of the exposure that you've put out there. Whenever I see an Amber Alert, that's the first thing I think of, is probably some dad or a parent wanting to spend some time with their kid, and the vindictive ex doesn't want them to. And that's, I guess, where I'm at is that's why it's so important to like and share and subscribe and get this information out there for people to see, is when you hear domestic violence or child abuse or something, you immediately think the guy is a horrible person. After, shows like this and learning what I've learned over the last few years, I'm like, it's not always the case. I have to reevaluate whenever I hear child abuse. Now I go, well, okay, wait a second, or the silver bullet, or any of those things. And the only way we're going to change people's minds, and that's something I've been in this for 10 years. I mean, up until the last year or two, domestic violence, silver bullet, I didn't really take, or Amber List, I didn't really take a hard look at it. I kind of simped. I kind of went, well, maybe, now I'm going more and more the other direction.
I was hardcore, dude. Again, I had no experience in that arena. So the only thing that changed my mind was saying, you know what, I need to listen. And before I wouldn't even listen.
Right.
We're accused of that. I'm not even going to listen. So I know where a lot of these people's minds are. You heard this. And we're not believing the kids, right? Let me tell you something, man. As a child, I went through a lot of stuff too. Now I'll leave it there. I don't even like to get into that.
Yeah.
Most kids that go through that type of abuse, I'm not saying all, most, they don't talk. That's why it's so dangerous. They are afraid of their abuser.
Right.
They are literally afraid. I'm not going to talk because I'm afraid of the consequences. You don't see them going and screaming it to the rooftops. You don't.
No.
Even in the Sounds of Freedom. Like, let's take that movie, for example. When he finally found the kids, did you see him? Oh, guess what they've been doing to me? No, she was quiet. I was afraid to talk because I know there's consequences from that. My abuser's standing here. They know what's going on.
Right.
There's some of the signals in signs, guys, that I believe people really need to take into consideration. Yep. The dangers of kids that are going through this is that they are afraid to speak. And I understand why they are. I've seen many cases. I've seen some that's went viral, Dwayne, where the kids are just, and the people just got behind it because it became a viral hashtag. And I sat back and I watched some of the videos and I'm like, man.
Oh, yeah.
This don't sit right with me. As time went by, my hunch was
proved true.
Correct. It was proved to be correct. And so you had millions of people back there, throwing this hashtag that just instantly wanted to react to this case. And I was like, nah. And this was actually going against the dad because everybody was for the dad. Okay.
Right.
I'm trying not to talk about it too much.
Yeah. I know who you're thinking of too.
Okay.
I know exactly.
Was behind this dad. So anybody that thinks I've got a bias, you can think that. This was a case where everybody was behind this dad, surprisingly. And I was just sitting there like, nope, not 1 second.
Yeah.
I don't believe it. Because I know what it's like to be that kid.
Yeah, it doesn't smell right.
No, it didn't smell right, not one bit whatsoever. And we got to be careful with that, guys. In this type of thing, they are looking for the one thing that you do wrong. Yeah. You could do a million things right. You do one thing wrong. That is what you will be judged on for the rest of your life. Okay.
Right.
Used to discredit you every time you turn. That's a social media tactic. I do want to go, JVC. Thank you for that donation that you sent in a little while ago, man. He said, can we call out the judges? My case is over. All three of my kids are adults now, and all three are alienated. What I would say, man, is make a statement. Don't call out the judge personally, and just, guys, use a little discernment on that. Obviously, we're here to spread the sunshine so we can, get the disinfectant and show everybody what's going on behind closed doors. At the same time, remember what I was just saying? You do that one thing wrong, you are looked at, if you're a dad that's been through this, as an angry deadbeat that just does everything wrong. The last thing that you want is them to have anything to match that with. I am a father. I went through the system. I had a judge that unfairly did this, wouldn't look at the evidence, wouldn't look at that. There's a way to do that instead of, man, my judge, he was corrupt, he was crooked. You know what I mean?
Right.
Guys, we got to keep some respect to ourselves. And I understand when guys make statements like that, they're probably justified in doing it. Okay.
Right.
But I'm looking for the betterment of everybody to be able to keep moving this thing forward. Okay. We just got to use a little bit of discernment on there. And, that's why if you guys want to have your sessions where you just let it all out, the Substack once a month, I haven't done it in a while. I gotta set that up.
Get a little busy.
Meet up where you can just get up on screen like we're doing right now and talk to other fathers that's going through it. And there, it's bad because you're telling people you have to suppress your feelings. All right. Just make sure you're expressing them in the right place.
Right.
Right. And just use some judgment on that.
Yeah. Find your accountability partner. whoever that is, or friends, whoever, and scream at them all the things you want to say. Do not put it on social media. Yeah. Another area, I mean, we're kind of bouncing all over there. There was a dad that I've been kind of working with behind the scenes, and he's been doing reunification with his kids. And when his kids show up to the reunification, they scream and yell at him and call him all kinds of names, and it just doesn't go well, obviously. And talking about the abuse that you were talking about earlier, trying to explain, and hopefully this gets out to a larger group, is that when the kids come over and they act up or act bad, doing bad things, whatever that is, they're doing it because they feel safe with you. If you're in an abusive situation, you're not going to speak up to your abuser. You're going to find your safe spot and then explode. It's how it works. And you, as the parent, you got to be there and suck it up and be that person for them.
Absolutely, man. What we are doing is fighting for the children. And I don't care how people try to twist it. Let's just give the facts right here. If you look at the fatherless statistics, our kids are failing in so many ways because the dad is not in the home. Well, we hear about that all the time. But what we don't hear about, especially on the mainstream media, is why isn't the father in the home? You just automatically consider
a pack of cigarettes.
He doesn't want anything to do with his kids. Why isn't he in the home? Why won't you show what's going on behind the scenes with these family courts? Why won't you show the actual problem? All of that stuff is connected. When you go to pharma and this family court industry, they do everything they can to make sure that certain narratives never see the light of day. Okay. And we got to keep pushing, man. I'm sorry. I got 1,000 thoughts going on right now. I get there and I'm just trying to get it. Mr. Norman Pelletier said, John needs to be cleared, period. The jury should have come back with a guilty murder charge. The government stays trying to cover their mess ups. It's time to expose them at all costs. John was a great guy and a great father. The city needs to be held accountable. So shall the state. Man, that's, again, I'll say it again. That's what this is about at this point, is clearing John's name. It's not us trying to take a side or do anything else. It's I want to show you the facts. Then you say how you feel about it. No emotions, no bias. Here's the facts. Now, what do you think?
And again, he took 2 separate tests. He took the
polygraph,
and then he took the
psychosexual.
the psychosexual assessment test. He flew flying colors on the polygraph, and on the psychosexual whatever one, he scored the lowest, some crazy low score, that
one of the lowest they had seen.
Yeah.
Did you guys get to see
and the
letter from the Williston investigator? Let me get over there. It might take me a second.
That letter in summary was that that John was over the top, cooperative, did everything he could. They talked about the test, that just nothing. I mean, he said your kid. They were talking to the parents, but your kid didn't do anything. John did not. There was just no wrongdoing. There was just so much evidence that he did not do what he was accused of. I mean, all the tests that we have to work with, and for that, that. But again, this is just yet another reason why the community needs to rally behind this and get it out into the worldwide spotlight and share this information.
All right, I'm going to read this for everybody. This was from because this is where the family court case came down. Said, dear Robert and Sarah Mass, that's John's parents. First off, I want to start this letter by sending my deepest condolences for the loss of your son. There is no greater pain than losing a child. Secondly, I want to introduce myself. My name is Danielle Hendricks, and I am detective for the Williston Police Department. I was the primary detective on all cases and circumstances mentioned in your letter. I want you to know that anytime there is a report of suspected child abuse or neglect, it is the utmost priority to ensure the safety of the children. I know firsthand, as I worked the case with John, there was no sufficient evidence to establish that your son had done anything wrong or committed any crimes. It was the lead detective, guys, on that case. Sending the letter to the family themselves. John was beyond cooperative with all the criminal investigations and even went as far as consenting to do a polygraph. which he passed. My criminal cases with John were closed years ago. No charges filed. As far as CPS, I am unable to give answers for reason for their things their department do. You are in our thoughts and prayers. If you need anything else, please feel free to reach out. Respectfully, Danielle Hendricks. So I want you to think about that, guys. That was the person that was responsible for doing the investigations. Need I say more? There was nothing there. Obviously, at the end, somebody might say, oh, well, what was it with CPS? CPS gets involved. We know the nightmares of CPS. I know there was one case where John had one custody, interim custody. And one night his daughter got an earache. And she went down to daddy and said, daddy, I got an earache, and wanted to lay with John. In the middle of the night, somebody called wanting a welfare check. Got there and they see his daughter with him. And then that's how one of the things got started with CPS. Let me just say this. I am a dad of daughters. I have 4 daughters. There isn't a single one of my children that haven't slept on their daddy's shoulder. And I will not apologize for that. It was some of the most special moments of my life. Yeah. I love, those are my babies. Those are my babies. Is there anything wrong with a father hugging his child, and especially when they're sick? They want to be loved on. And you know what? Sometimes you can't do nothing about the sickness. Have you ever had earaches? One of the worst things you could go through.
Nothing you can do about it.
Something about that parent's comfort. There, rub your hair, and say, I love you, kiss you on the forehead. There's something about that parent's comfort that just makes it a little bit easier to get through it.
Kiss the boo-boo.
Be questioning that and saying that a child should not have that pisses me off, man.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know about your kids, but were your kids like part octopus?
What do you mean?
Like, what? Well, yeah, I had king size bed. I'd be in bed, and then the kids would get in, and then they're kneeing me in the knees, and like they wake, wake up. Yeah, I mean, I would say you're not a parent until you've taken a foot in the face at 2 a.m. That's.
I've got a video of my daughter. I think she's like 12 or 13 at that time. She came in because I worked all day, man. I was working 16, 17 hours a day with a 2-hour commute. They didn't get to see me much. I was single dad at the time. Right. She just wanted to spend time with me. I'm passed out on the bed. And when I wake up, she's got her arm on top of my head and it's just flopping off. And I'm on my side. And I get up and I put the camera on it. And I'm like, get off of me.
Yeah. I mean,
but special moments. I remember that.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah. I mean, my kids all grown now. One's getting ready to turn 18 in a bit. And yeah, some of the fondest memories is, I mean, at the time, getting kneed in the boys at 3 a.m. or, in the kidney or whatever, didn't feel the greatest, but I wouldn't trade those moments for the world. That was just the best time. And yeah, to have a wellness check and to have someone question your relationship with your child is just, it's evil. It's ridiculous. I do
want to highlight a comment. Heather Renee, I know she was friends with John. If you got a good memory of John, throw it in here for me. But she said, I saw that detective the other day here in town and I wanted to hug her. You're seeing this happen alongside of me. Heather, if you get in touch with her, let her know I'd like to talk to her. If I got to, I'll fly to North Dakota to talk to her. I'd like to do it. Yeah. And please let me know right there on the Dad Talk Today Facebook, and I'll make sure that message is being looked out for. That was pretty awesome to send that of the family. Obviously, that was after John had gotten killed. Yeah. But when you got all these people accusations towards your son, I'm sure that letter meant a lot to the mass.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, they again, great family. Robert, what else can be said about Robert? The guy's just awesome. Just the faith that they have at what they've done. And even, I mean, again, I'm human. I'm going to have to say I'm human. After that verdict, I'm glad I wasn't on air. And again, props to you for your composure and, sticking with the facts and reporting it. I'm not that good of a man, but the message or the statement that they made after the hearing, after the trial was over, just shows what kind of the first-rate people they are. I mean, just they live their faith. I mean, while I admit it was not the one they were looking for, trust in God.
I'm going to tell you, it wasn't easy, man. I'll be open and honest with you. When that came down, I had Aaron and Mark Escobel stand in front of me, and I sat down to operate the computer because I just didn't want to be seen. I promised that we were going to be cool, calm, and collected in that courtroom, and I believe we were, as well as the Mass family, even though it was one of the most devastating things we've been through. When it was over, like I was still just, and I asked Robert, "Is like, dude, take me back to the room. I got to get away from here. I want to be by myself." As soon as everybody was out, I screamed an expletive to the top of my lungs. Starts with an F. And I just had to get it out.
Yeah.
I waited. It was one of the hardest things I've been through. Absolutely. One of the hardest things because it feels like our movement just got set back so many years. Every time you want to think, well, maybe people are starting to question this a little bit more. Maybe we've got some progress going on. You see something like that. And then you hear about Tyrone Darling, you hear about Chad Reed
On the same day. Good
Dude.
God.
It is just completely blowing my mind.
You had mentioned Tyrone Darling, and for anyone that doesn't know, in Arlington, Texas, he was gunned down. I think I can say it that way. Gunned down with his child in front of his job in the stroller by the baby mama, and she will not be charged. They got off free.
I love this comment from Miss Erica. She said, absolutely nothing wrong. I was a daddy's girl. My daughter and my 2 granddaughters are 100% attached to their daddy. And does that make you feel in a bad way at all, Erica, that they would love their daddies? Or, dude, they're daddy's girls. Be glad that there's men that want to love and protect their daughter. That doesn't mean that the kids don't love you. I think so many people get threatened by the child having a relationship with the other parent. What's sad is you constantly got another parent that tries to pick apart every little thing one does to make it look like they're less of a parent, when it goes in this. I
mean, again, my feelings on my ex-spouse this is common knowledge. And I have failed more times than I've won. It's an area but our kids are 50% them. Every time you call the other person something, mean, and I know it's a slippery slope, but every time you do something like that, that is telling that kid that 50% of them is that. And and looking back, some of the things I said and did weren't right.
Dude, me too. There was many times, like I won't lie to you, stuff slipped out of my mouth quicker than I could catch it. When you're in the heat of the moment and you feel like you've been broken and beaten down, and there is something. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I know this isn't in every case. Some of these women just love drama. They want to gaslight. They want to argue.
No, hush your mouth. No, I've never heard of that.
You're separated from it. I can see a conversation coming, and my first thought is, I just don't even want to engage because I know it. But they like to engage. They like to engage it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
There's guys that just want, I want to get beyond it. Let's not even have to talk anymore.
Yeah.
I wish that's the way it would go. To be honest with you, there's some of these cases where no communication is needed because any communication between these two is not good.
Toxic, yeah.
It is just toxic. And if we can exist and we can say, okay, here's the rules. This is when you get them. This is when I get them. And if there's anything, we'll communicate about that. But anything else in between, it's best off for our kid that we just go our separate ways.
Yeah.
It doesn't go like that, though.
No,
there is literally in family court. Why aren't you reaching out to them? Why aren't you doing this? Well, here is like pages and pages and pages of notes that show you what that communication was like. Still doesn't matter. Don't you love your kid? It's like, you know what, Judge? Kiss my rear end.
Exactly.
You don't know what that's like to be in my shoes and have to do that. But that's immature. You don't love your kid. Bull crap. I can't put up with her, man.
Right.
I can't put up with her. That's what it boils down to at the end of the day. Anything that men are naturally inclined to do is used against them in family court.
Having your kid in your, spend the night, and they've just changed it around to where you can't even, I don't know. My kids loved being in. I mean, they would like that. You know, they always got the "I'm sick," and you know, they loved to do that, and because they loved hanging out with dad. That was the thing, and to turn that into something bad. Now, again, I know that there's bad that people have done with that, and it is wrong. I mean, those people, Dante's Inferno, bottom level, however you want to look at that, but I would argue that, I mean, you're having that bond with your kids, like it's one of those that they're going to remember, you're going to remember, and it makes them better people.
Yeah.
And for people to call that into question, I just, yeah, don't get it.
It's just about like assassinating that other person's reputation as much as they can. I mean, that's the part that makes me so driven right now. Dwayne, you know as much as I do. At least a month prior to this case, I checked out, dude. I was killing zombies on Call of Duty, and I did it on purpose. I did it because I knew what was coming. I knew that I was about to get into this. We've got to defend John.
Yeah,
we've got to, man. We are the voice now, guys. We are the voice. And listen, it might be not be talking about your personal case, but if there is, I know because I saw the messages after this case came out. I'm the next John Mast. I went through what John Mast went through. Then push this story.
Yeah.
Push this story. This is your story. It might not be you on there talking, but if you've got elements of this case, push this story. We can't tell everybody's as much as we wish we could.
Right.
We've got to get out of that mindset. I mean, hell, my platform. How often you hear me talk about mine? Once, every once in a while I might say, well, I went through that or I went through that. And I only did that because of the bull crap that was going on.
Right.
It's about getting these cases out there. I know I went through some BS, but compared to somebody like John Mast, I'm not even on that radar, dude.
Right.
I'm just not even on that radar. Please help us get that out. And it's that like, sharing, subscribing. If there is, I've had people ask like Court TV and stuff, if they want to get behind this. Absolutely. Yeah. At the same time, I wish we would get people behind us doing what we're doing. We do not need them guys. I'm going to tell you.
Yeah. Tucker Carlson.
We do
Joe
not
Rogan.
We can do it on our own.
If enough people like, share, subscribe, it'll get out there. I mean, yeah, they shadow ban, they push it down, which is all the more reason to subscribe and share, get on Substack, tell your friends about this. I mean, people have friends in their circle that we'll never know. Get it to them. You'd be surprised at how many people I've heard from that say a friend of a friend of a friend shared this with me one time, and they got on the website, they looked at YouTube, they did whatever, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is my situation. And like, share, subscribe.
I want to read one of these comments, and I understand it so much. Mr. Jason Bannister, it's just wrong that the deaths and the torture through family law of all these years, nothing can be changed no matter what we try to do, because I think men are too afraid to stand up for their children because of family court. I agree with that to a second, but here's the thing, dude. You got to become a cold, hard, callous SOB and say, I am not going to let them intimidate me. I know they are going to try to put me down. They're going to try to discredit me every step of the way, and that this is going to be hard. If you guys want to fight behind this movement, I'm not going to give it to you any other way. It will be one of the hardest things that you ever do in your life. You will be fought every step of the way. Every time you think you're making traction, there's going to be something that comes back and knocks it back down. But I will tell you at the end of the day, remember what you're doing it for. Your kids, for your grandkids, for the future. Remember why we do it. It is worth fighting for. And you just got to tell yourself, I don't care what comes that way. I'm going to continue to fight. Dude, you know how hard it was for me to pick myself up off the ground after that verdict come through? 2 hours I allowed myself to grieve over that. 2. And it was like I could hear John and something inside of me. What are you doing? It's not over yet. Yeah. Everything that you say happens just happened on screen for people to see. This is when you push. What are you doing? Get your ass up off the floor and go to work. And that's what we did. That's what we did, dude. And I want you guys to come in there with us too. there's ways that everybody can help. For those of you that can't go full time, help me with this fundraiser. If you want to hold your own fundraiser, so like I don't have to be a part of that, please do. Please do. It's the part that I hate the most. But I tell you, I believe we are in the middle of a breakthrough, and I want to push this. I really do. You're not going to find many people that don't have the resources crowd fundraising to make something to give away for free. I did it last time while I stand with John. I'm wanting to do it this time.
Yeah.
All right. Make sure those links down there, Cash App, Venmo, Dad Talk Today, no spaces, $100. You even got a chance at getting a car. It's cool, man. I love it when we actually have something we can give back, because I hate asking. But here's one thing I can say. Whether it is $1, whether it's $10,000 or $20,000 that people give in to here, one thing that you can rest assured is you're going to be fought for with that money. There is no other organization or anywhere that I have saw that has went to the links and the places that Dad Talk Today has went to fight for this movement. You don't just see us sitting at home. I don't even have much time at home. I'm going to Iowa next month, and the month after that, I'm going international. We are going to England. And I want to get to Australia. I want to get to Canada. I want to get to some of these other places. We do what we can. But if I had more, you'd have to beg me to stop. You would literally have to make me stop, because I'd be ready to go. So, dude, please help me with those. Take it away, Dwayne. Get it on something else.
Well, it's just, yeah, I mean, $1, it makes a difference. And you're definitely a steward of the money you've been given. I mean, I think when you went for mass trial, I think you hadn't had you didn't have the backing for that. This was out of pocket, and you were kind of hoping to do that. I mean, you were there. You had to buy equipment, all these unexpected expenses. What was it, 7 microphones?
Yeah, dude, we bought so many microphones. Somebody, the foundation took care of the camera.
Oh, they did. Oh,
well, his expenses being there.
Right.
I took care of the travel expenses. I took like the plane tickets, the hotels, the car, the gas, the food. All of that was on my back end. Then I hired another camera guy while we was there. That came out of that. And I'm not getting paid for that. I spent a week and a half. I did not get paid for that. At some point in time, I'll tell you, there might be something that I say, hey, guys, I got to get taken care of so I can continue doing this. I sold a car, and I've got the faith that it's just going to happen. Right now, we're in that time that it's just hard to get it going, but I can't quit, man.
Yeah, you either go left or right.
But if we have the help, everybody just comes in and pitches in. You have no idea what we could pull off. Hell, if everybody that follows Dad Talk Today donated $1 a month, we'd have over $1 million. I'm going to tell you, you give me $1 million, I will give the biggest black eye to the family law industry that you have ever seen. I have the contacts to do it with. You've seen me go all the way up to the president of the United States. I can make it happen. And I did that with very little. If I had it, dude, we could do it. And it's just about, like, again, man, not giving up and making sure you get that awareness out there and resonating with people. I don't come on here and try to be anything that I'm not. I say things that I second guess sometimes, like, should you have said that? Yes, I should have said that. That's what was on my mind. I want you to know what was on my mind. That's how you're going to get it. You got to resonate with the people. Let them know what you're fighting for. And when they see you out there fighting, I believe that does resonate with people. We spent a week and a half up there doing what we just did. And I've got other people that are wanting us to come and do these for cases coming up, and I want to be there. Right. I don't have the money to pay for that camera guy. I don't have the money to pay for that, but it'll happen. Somehow, Dwayne, it's always pulled itself off.
Yeah, well, having people contribute. I mean, again, thank you for whoever has contributed. Yeah, it's just one of those, keep that coming in. Eric's, Shoney's been a good steward with those funds. You've seen, the proof. He went up there, over there last week. All the things that he's doing and getting out. It's getting bigger. People are getting more aware. We just have to take. You were talking about it being a setback, and it was. Him being found guilty of the equivalent of wrecking his car into somebody.
It's how you look at it.
Yeah, but
after I thought about it, I said, I think it was actually it's going to play to our favor.
And just energize the base and keep people moving forward. And again, if you've been through this, if you want to do it for your kids, like, share, subscribe. I've said a number of times before. I mean, my kids are essentially out of it. Hell, I get paid. Well, I get paid child support. So, I mean, I'm on the other side of this completely. I'm doing this because wrongs need to be righted. Yeah, I don't know if we want to talk about that or not. Yeah,
I'm supposed to. Well, no. I won't go too far into it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, disclosure on mine. 2 years ago, I got my kids full time. And unfortunately, since my ex-wife had involved the state, you can't get them back out. So they put her on child support. And based on the calculations, she's over 7 months behind right now. And things are happening. So nothing I can do about that. And I have kept it from the kids. Well, actually, I kept it from the kids. I was when my kids got back, they let me know that my ex had talked about it with them, and I just kind of kept my mouth shut. And that's a growth moment that we were talking about earlier about saying things and using your kids as a sounding board. You shouldn't be doing that. I mean, you need to find accountability partners and other people to talk to, not involving your kids in this stuff at all.
It can be hard too, man. That we haven't done everything perfect. I mean, the only life I had was my kids. The first time I went through a divorce, my daughter was a year old. The second time, she was a teenager, and so you can find yourself like talking to your kids, and then the moment that sticks out the most for me as a parent, and I think I've told this on the show before. This is where that "stay cool, stay dad" comes from. I know that's kind of a weird tagline, but there was one when the divorce was going on. One of my daughters was 13 or 12, and then the other was 7. They were having a very hard time. So there was times that I let them get away with things that I normally wouldn't let them get away with. Just staying up later or something else. And then I started realizing they're still kids, but they're taking liberties with it. It's starting to get a little bit worse. They're pushing their limits, which I had never let before. Yeah. I'm a stern dad. I'm a fun dad, but I was a stern dad. They knew not to cross me. I never spanked my children. I could just give them a look. And
the dad look.
Crap, the dad look, man. And but at this point in time, it had went on, and because I had been, I knew where their hearts was. But it was one of those nights that I realized, like, dude, I know it's hard. I know they're going through some stuff, but you got to stay dad. You've got to stay dad, and you've got to give them that. And it was one of those, the dad look came out. I had told them to do something. They didn't listen to me, and I said, do what I said right now. And I have a finger snap. When they hear that finger snap, that was it with the dad look. I never had to spank. And they looked at me like, oh, crap. Daddy's not playing. And they went and they started, doing what I told them to.
Right.
I then go to my bedroom, lock the door, put my face down in the pillow and start crying. It hurt me so bad.
Oh, yeah.
I have to do that. But I knew you got to be daddy. I know they're hurting, but they're going to hurt even more if you don't continue to be dad. And the sad thing is the kids need their daddies. That's why the fatherless statistics are the way they are. But you get these guys that start going through these silver bullets and these divorces and all this other stuff, and they are afraid to even say anything to their kids, let alone give them the lessons that a dad gives them. If I say something, mom's going to use it against me. If I say something, they're going to want to run to their mom. Guys, I'm going to tell you, you got to remain dad. And they might not understand it right now. One day they're going to understand it. It's not easy. Trust me, I've had to eat crow many a time to stand by what I believe. I've ate crow many a time. Oh, yeah. It's been on my supper plate, but I don't regret it. Even though I made my mistakes, I did the best that I could. And I can say that open and honestly, did the best I could.
Yeah, we're not perfect. We don't have a roadmap.
No, absolutely not. But those kids need your guidance. They need your love. They need your protection. You got to stay dad, man.
Well, I wonder what happens to kids that don't get told no or don't get the finger snap or the dad look. Oh, wait, we see it on the news every single day.
Yep.
We see new members coming to the Big Jimmy show every single day as a result of that. I mean, yeah, I mean, yeah, there were times I hated disciplining my kids, but I saw the bigger picture. I mean, and I'm assuming that's how dads think. We don't think today, tomorrow. We think 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road. What's this kid going to turn into based on the lessons they're learning or not learning when they're younger? And I think the kids are going to learn these lessons one way or the other. If they don't learn discipline, finances, how to treat people, they're going to grow up without those things or learn them from somebody else.
Well, that goes for everything in life.
Yeah.
If they don't find out from their parents, they're going to find out from somebody else. One thing I would love to talk to, completely off subject, different direction. Make sure you're talking to your kids about what they're getting on the streets and what they're getting in school right now. The fentanyl crisis is just crazy, man.
Yeah.
Talking about us making mistakes. I was the preacher's son. I experimented with a lot of things. I didn't really experiment with marijuana or anything like that until I was out of high school. But I look back at it now, the opiate crisis and everything. Had fentanyl been around when I was in that, young party age or whatever, that could have been the death of me, man. And we are seeing it become the death of many of the children. That's just one of the conversations you need to make sure that you're having with your kids. I know you might see other kids doing X, Y, and Z, and you might not think it's that big of a deal, but baby, you got to understand what's going on right now. It could take one time and you will never recover from it. That is some dangerous stuff, man.
Oh, yes.
Dangerous stuff. Not including all of the indoctrinations that's going on inside of the schools right now, and the political rhetoric that is telling your kids that everything that mom and dad says is wrong. The political divisiveness right now has really tried to arm the kids to say, you know more than mom or dad. The boomer age, all these other people, they didn't know what they were talking about. You are the new generation. You've got it all figured out. You don't have to listen to mom and dad. And it has shaped a lot of these parents to be whipped up puppy dogs that go along with that. I see parents asking their kids for permission sometimes. Like, where in the hell did you think that is the way it's supposed to go? I mean, I literally see like kids demanding mom and dad in the grocery store and,
buy them something.
Sorry, I don't think I've got it right now to get you that. I'd be like, you better shut your mouth. Like, I ain't putting up with that. Dude, we just live in a different age altogether. We need some more James Evans from Good Times.
Oh yeah, trying to think. What? Not Red Fox. Who? Oh God, it wasn't what was happening. It was the two guys. They worked in a junk, an actual junkyard. Sanford and Son. Sanford. You dummy. But yeah, God. I mean, I'm a Gen Xer, and so I was a latchkey kid. Parents weren't around, and you got in my fair share of trouble. But my dad was. I mean, my dad was around as much as he was able to be, given the stuff he was going through. And the lessons I learned from him and how it shaped me into the person I am today. We're seeing all these kids today that don't have their one, let alone both parents around, and we're seeing it. And the school's coming in, and it's just ridiculous.
Interesting question in here from Up Your Food Game on YouTube. Said, guys, do you acknowledge that there are fathers out there as well as mothers who should never be with their children, and maybe a higher percentage than PA and ultra high conflict cases? Just a thought. I don't think it is a higher percentage, but I will tell you this. Okay, I'm just going to answer it as fathers right now, because that's where people think we have the bias. Absolutely, there's cases out there where fathers don't need to be in. There is just as many cases with mothers. Domestic violence right now, you go and read on the statistics. We could go down a big rabbit hole on this one right here. But let me just say it this way, man. When we say we believe both is best, I really do truly mean that. There is cases where, I wish there was some help that could be gave to that parent. This is generational trauma, okay? If you read up on ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, I don't believe a lot of these parents are just born crazy. I believe they have their own experiences, and a lot of what they're doing with their children now is something that they learned before. We need to learn how to start healing people. It's one thing to just say, I just completely throw them out of their life and then letting them carry on that trauma, keep getting on drugs, commit the S word or something like that. I believe we need to recognize we are in a time right now where the mental health crisis is just off the charts. It is off the charts. I
Yeah.
can tell you in my case right now, if I ever get beyond it or whatever, I would love to see them get help. I don't wish what's bad for them.
Right.
Has there been times in my head like, oh my God, I can't stand this person? Absolutely. But I believe there is some trauma there, and I would love to see them get help. Nothing would thrill me more than to be able to have a healthy co-parenting relationship and to see that healing take place. Hell, I might even need some healing. I go to a counselor and I try to question where I'm going wrong. But yes, there's going to be cases to keep that answer short. I do believe, though, the kids need their parents. Why is a mom killing herself and the kids if a dad gets custody? Think about that. What is going on in the mind of somebody that thinks that's okay? The family courts have really made a bias to make these women think like they are the most important. And, and then when a mom doesn't win custody, especially in the cases where moms are alienated, I believe it's a much less percent of the time, but that woman is just looked at as trash, man. Because she must have done something really, really wrong, which I believe the bias against fathers makes what happens to mothers that much worse.
Yeah.
Because if she didn't win, she had to do something really bad, because we know fathers don't win. But that is a multi-layered question. There could be so many reasons why, but we really need to find out what is the ultimate reason why a kid does not need to be with their parent. It needs to be something pretty severe.
Right. And not because of money, because CPS.
Not because of any of this other BS that we're seeing. I would say a higher percentage than parental alienation or anything is what you're seeing with the conflict, and the percentage, the biggest percentage of high conflict cases with family court only become high conflict because they go through family court. We're not trying to heal them. We put them in a room with somebody they once loved, and now everything they've ever worked for, could be their house, could be their car, the dog, and the child, every one of them, we are going to fight to see who gets that. So you better sling the most mud that you can, because you need to be the winner. In that kind of scenario, every one of us loses. Not just their family. We lose too, because it's making the world a much worse place. They're carrying that on to their job, everywhere that they go. So we need to be careful of just saying, hey, we just need to completely, take this person out of people's lives. They need to get help. But that hasn't even entered the conversation for the family courts, because they don't even want to acknowledge that it's a problem. They make too much damn money off of it.
Yeah.
Followed up with, then how do we get the courts to do proper fact finding and close the adversarial mindset where the silver bullet wins the day? To get the money out of the system. To get the money out of the system. As long as there's money attached to the family court and to politics, we are screwed.
Yeah, there's a lot of money.
I don't see any of the money leaving family court or politics anytime soon. I just don't. And politics has a lot to do with your family courts. It's attached. The legislation is in the middle of it. I promise you, they are not the answer. We got to stop going to the people that created the system and expecting them to give us the relief.
Yeah. And then the judge sees how X number of cases a day. They have 2 minutes with you. Sometimes they're spending it on their phone, as we've had video show. They're not qualified to make those decisions. I mean, unfortunately, the people that they're being paid off, because it's all about money. Again, going back to that money being the big problem, because firm A, their attorney gets a hold of them. They say, okay, firm A, if you give a favorable recommendation that the dad gets custody, I'll give you X amount of money. And then, firm B, same thing. And then it just becomes this, who's the better expert, and they'll say and do whatever. Getting money out of it would be a lot of it. I mean, what Netherlands was it? They had a 50-50, no child support unless there's, documented abuse and all that. And they were, from the reports I've read, they're better off.
Dude, I gotta remember, there was somebody that was making me aware of this from Warren Farrell's group that I attend.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even want to speak on it too much because I will mess up the details, but there is like one county in the country that doesn't have a family court. And there was some interesting statistics that came along with that. You know, another thing, none of these are going to be fail-safe solutions, I don't
Right.
think. But, you know, somebody had said, what about mandatory mediation? To where we try to get the parents to get along. And if there is just one that keeps making these unrealistic demands or keeps creating that conflict, that needs to be taken into consideration. So when it goes to family court, this is the person that wouldn't go along with it. I believe that could be part of a solution. My biggest thing is, like, as long as you got attorneys and people going into the courtroom with the conflict, we are going to lose. We are going to lose, and we're going to lose hard. Everybody, your kids, the world, everybody loses. We are creating broken families. I mean, even in society right now, you know, it's being encouraged. You know, the only thing the opposite sex is good for is sex. The nuclear family, that discussion is going out the window. And, you know, the sad thing is I believe in the nuclear family. I believe in marriage. That's why I'm married. At the same time, that is probably one of the last things that I would suggest to a young man coming up now.
Oh, yeah, I tell everybody, don't get married, don't have kids, which sucks. I'm going to be a grandpa at some point. Doesn't happen. I don't know. The whole thing, though, is the part of the issue is we have people and we have their biases. Again, we had 12 people just last week who saw all the same evidence that everybody else saw come to a very different conclusion. There's no blanket that's going to 100% of the time. Hopefully you're checking your phone for the same reason I keep looking over at my phone. Got some other, let's just put it this way. Eric and I are busy doing a lot of stuff for a lot of people. We'll just throw it out there and stop there. But, I mean, 12 people came to a very different conclusion than I'd say most of the people that were watching that. And it's like, how do you establish something that's going to 100% of the time catch all this? I mean, there's going to be some that fall through the cracks. I think, again, having cameras in the courtroom, because something positive came from that. We now know that something went on in Idaho in that courtroom that just does not make sense.
So I will give some good news. We don't get that often. So to counter some of the news that we've heard, and I'm sorry, yes, guys, I'm watching this every second of the day to find out what's going on. But there was a case that me and Dwayne had the father on not too long ago. Justin Knoll, his son, Justin, that passed away because he had a diabetic heart attack, right?
Yeah, the mom wouldn't.
Yeah,
allegedly
he didn't know until he got there. There was a lot that went on in that particular case. You would have to go back and watch the podcast. Even the details are a little bit fuzzy for me. Mom was found guilty on both charges that was against her. This just happened, and he was giving me kind of a praise update right now, which is pretty cool, saying the lady that was the detective on this gave him a promise that she was going to stay on her job until this went through, and then she would retire. She retired today. So she kept her promise to him. There's some good people out there, man. There's one of the cases where justice was done. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the high level summary, and again, I'll probably get some of the details, but guy, girl split up. They had a kid. Kid was diabetic, and over a period of time, he would, and he wasn't allowed to spend time with the kid outside of his normal time. And he was, I think, an over the road trucker as well.
Yes. Yep.
But even though the kid was a diabetic, the mom, well, I don't have to say allegedly anymore, but mom was letting him eat whatever he wanted to and not maintain the diabetic, the insulin, and all that stuff. The kid wasn't feeling well. He picked him up or dropped him off and is like, and he was talking with him and saying, hey, you need to do this, telling the mom. And he was told that if he were to take the kid, they'd put him in jail. And actually, as I recall, that was like his single biggest regret. He said, I should have just went to jail. And unfortunately, the kid went into a coma and did pass away.
I want to be careful on how I word this, but there's been a lot of these guys in cases like that said, if I would have just took justice into my own hands. I don't suggest that out of anybody, but it's one of those when they come to me and say that, and I don't believe in violence. I don't believe in any of that, but it's like, man, I have a hard time telling you that you're wrong, because when the system didn't listen to you and it cost you the life of your child, that's sad, man. That's sad. I'll leave that one there. Cause like I said, I'm not the guy to get behind violence, but at the same time, what do you say? in a case like that. If I just wouldn't have took my kid back, they told me I had to take the kid back. If I just would have, took off, what, and in cases like that, if they would have just took off, they would have got in trouble. They probably would have got put in jail. They would have lost.
Amber Alert. It was
Yeah,
an
you
Amber
would've
Alert FaceTime.
Yeah, you would have never known. It's
I
it's
think
just
it's Glenn.
hard. Nobody listens to these guys. Yes, man, please go watch that documentary on YouTube. Nobody listened.
Yeah,
He
Glenn's
was one of
another
the fathers that said that too. And I told everybody, she's going to kill him. Cops, CPS, attorneys, judge. Nobody listened to me. This was a father that knew in his heart. Nobody listened to him. That was another case where nobody listened to the father. And what
there was
happened?
So much evidence. They had police reports. Glenn. I can't remember his last name.
I have a very flat butt, guys. So I know you guys keep seeing me doing like musical.
Baby ain't got back.
Yeah, my back end. Dude. I've been doing a lot of sitting. The good Lord didn't bless me with a rear end, so I have to keep just jumping around here.
But yeah, if you get a chance, watch Glenn Terry, David.
Glenn Terry, yeah.
Yes. Watch that documentary. Actually, I think, you interviewed him too a ways back, and he kind of talked more. But there was so much evidence on that, and a lot of people are going to be triggered through if you watch the one where he tells his story about his ex and their interactions, the silver bullet. I mean, all the different things. Again, triggering, but he was yet another dad that told the course and was threatened with jail if he did anything. And that's his. Actually, I think he says on the documentary that was probably his single regret. Is he should have just said, "I don't care."
Well, I'm really worried because when this verdict came down with John Mast, a lot of the other families that had a family member that went through this, it's shaking up some people. They thought the justice was going to be done. Now we're looking back at Chad, Tyrone, and John and saying, I've warned them. I'm like, look, guys, I know you think you might have it in the bag. You need to approach this very, very, very carefully. In the case of Justin Goolsby, it was almost identical to John Mast. Almost identical. Ex-father-in-law shoots him in a parking lot. When he went to get his kids, he showed up instead of the mother. He shoots him 4 times. Jim shot John 3. It was almost identical. And it was eerie how similar that one was. That's coming up in November, I do believe. Okay. So I want to make sure that I keep, the cameras on for this stuff.
That's Oklahoma, right?
I still haven't got to talk to the family of CJ Sayers, but CJ is one that everybody needs to be watching out. That went down in Ohio.
Ohio, okay.
And then the one of Alex, where we had his mother on not too long ago and tried to do some fundraising for them. The guy won custody that day. He won custody. Yeah. As soon as he gets home from the court, winning custody, ex's boyfriend standing right there, pulls out a gun, and he starts running, and he chased him down and shot him and killed him. The day that he won custody. Yep. Come on, man. Come on. But if these are guys that went through family court or I don't think CJ or Alex was one that was going through the allegations. I know Justin Goolsby was. Yeah. But, and I've talked to his fiance. They were just a few days away from getting married when Justin got killed. Yeah. And I was just telling you, man, you guys go into this. Don't leave any cards on the table. If there is information that if you think that you've got the case solid, do me a favor. I want you to reinvestigate it like 10 more times. Is there anything else that we can do? Do not leave any cards on the table. If it is there and I can help and we can get the resources to do it, I will come put the cameras on in those courtrooms. I will fill out the paperwork and we will do it just like we did for John. I want to help as much as we can. We're limited in that, but guys, it is open season on fathers right now. Open season. None of these should have went out the way that it did. And I know I've been beating the drum for John Mast now for about 3 years. I'm going to be beating it a lot more. Okay. I'm going to come on tomorrow. I was talking to Dwayne. I would like to do a Q&A where people can do the call-ins, tell us their thoughts on the Mast case. So I'll
keep it respectful.
keep respectful. Absolutely. If it gets to where I think it's just something I don't want to play, I'm not going to put it on there. I want you guys to be respectful. Let's be the movement that we were called to be. I know a lot of people are upset on this. We all are. There's going to be questions that people are going to ask that I can't answer right now. For the most part, if it relates to what we just saw last week, that case is over. I can say a lot. Okay. I just got a message a few minutes ago from the prosecutor. I'm getting the evidence video. So it's coming.
It's coming.
Yep, it's coming. So I'm going to be on here nonstop. Look at there. Heather Renee sending you a message with Danielle's email address. We've already got an email. This is how it's going, guys. It's been going this way for a very long time. I am going to be on here like a preacher right now. We got to raise this. We got to do this.
Dad would be proud.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it in that tone. And I don't have an offering plate to pass around. But just know what you do right here. It's going for John. It's going for the movement. And, the sad thing is, Dwayne, if I had it, I'd probably be doing it on my own.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's again, you've been doing a lot just out of pure passion.
There's 8 different documentaries in production right now. So
a book. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there. And I don't know. Does anyone not believe that the child exchange custody murder deletions are happening? Because I know some people are thinking it's anecdotal. I've said it before, but I set up an aggregator that goes out across the world and finds those keywords. And I want to say on a daily basis, I get maybe 5 to 10. In the U.S. alone, custody exchange deletions. I mean, that should tell you how often this is happening.
The deletion rates for men, these are men that don't want to be on the earth anymore, think they've got nothing left to offer, so they take their own life. Obviously, there's a word we got to refrain from using. You should know what that word is. It is off the charts, guys. The deletion rates in men are 7 times higher than that of women after the age of 21. A lot of those cases are directly related to family law abuses.
Yeah.
Think about this. 1 out of 3 men that do a paternity test find out they were never the dad to the child. 1 out of 3. Is that something that might tempt you to do something like that? Could you imagine having to live your life with that embarrassment and all that going on?
They had that
situations that these guys are going through. Nobody listens to them. Men make up 93% of workplace deaths. The only thing we hear of is how there's not equal pay.
Yeah.
Well, we're not listening to our guys, man.
On the death part, they had that kid. I think it was in his early 20s, and he was just notified that the 2 kids that he had with a woman weren't his kid. The guy had a heart attack right there and died. I mean, this is impacting people, and I always follow up that 1 in 3, the 30% number with, and again, I know women get really mad at this comment, but do you know how many times? And I know you know the number, or maybe hopefully remember the number. How many times they have to try to find the right dad? How many times?
Ooh, I think it was like 6 or 7.
4.
Oh, okay.
6 or 7. That's Maury Povich land. That's
no, like
4 times. No, 4 times. They have to.
Low.
You're like, I don't know about that number. I mean, 6 or 7. You're on that legacy Maury Povich, but 4 times. I guess I wasn't promiscuous when I was younger, but or older. But
I plead the 5th.
I'm just going 4 times because that window again. I remember my 3rd grade biology here. That window of getting pregnant is not 30 days. It's a much smaller window. I'm trying to, again, the logical side of me is like, how does that work? How does that work?
Be glad they don't all attach and become a mutation. Could you imagine?
Oh God.
All right.
Actually, we do have some good news.
Guys, I'm going to do one last push, and we'll get on out of here because I got some work to do on this. Please, if you can help, There's the link down at the bottom, Cash App, Venmo, Dad Talk Today. It's right there on the screen. I'm about 10% of the way of where I would like to be. We are up to 51. We got a $5 donation in not long ago. Thank you for that. So we're at 5105. And dude, even those small donations help. If that's all you got, dude, I understand. But that just shows every little bit that you can give. Thank you so much. I want to make this available to you guys. Eventually, if I can't raise the money for it, I'm going to have to start charging per view or something, just so I can get the money back off the back end to keep it rolling. And I would like to make it available to everybody. I don't want anybody that would be affected by this or touched by this to have to pay for it. And that's just where I've been. At this point, being a media company, we're beyond a podcast at this point, guys. What we did the past 2 weeks was not a podcast, and just was it. Okay, it's becoming more like a media news organization. Okay, we're not mainstream, but in order to do that, we got to have a business plan. I do not want to sell myself to attorneys and other people that want to sell their services. Okay, and at any point in time, I could have done that at Dad Talk. Trust me, I've turned down many sponsors. I don't want to do that. I want it to remain by the people for the people. And so I need the people behind us. At the $100 level, you can make that statement, email eric@dadtalktoday.com, and you get entered in for the Judy Ann. I'm going to do that live. It's a really nice car. David, it might be listed on his birth certificate. Just kidding. He's not that old.
Right.
I mean, he's older than that. Anyway.
Right.
But that, you'll get to make that statement. You'll get entered for that car. And I just appreciate it so much, man. I mean, I'm blessed for what we've seen so far, but I want you to see this. That's what we've raised in the middle of one of the biggest stories that the movement has seen. When those stories aren't going, trying to raise money.
Yeah.
That's where we're at, 5105. It cost 3 times that amount just to have us up there last week. I'll give you that much. That's what it costs for us just to be up there. That's the battle we're fighting.
Yeah. Okay. On the note thing, I see a lot of people have done the, like for my kids, love to D and D, those first letters of my kids' names. Is that acceptable if they were to do something like that? Just the first initial?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
I mean, the biggest thing is don't think that this is me treating anybody any different than I would treat everybody. You got to be careful. When John Mass came on my show, he was not on the screen and all you could hear was his voice. Okay. He didn't say kids' names. He didn't say anything. It was John, now luckily didn't even remember until I went to edit down John's documentary. Never did that. I pulled him up on the screen. Something told me you need to talk to this guy. And it was recording. So that night, editing down I Stand With John, trying to find the Thanksgiving footage, beaten, broken down, saying I'm trying to tell a guy's story that's not here to tell it for, Am I doing the right thing? And the next thing, John's on screen with me. He's sitting there on screen with me. And then I got to hear the rest of that conversation. You know what, dude? There's going to be times you're going to have this little inner voice that's going to tell you, you need to do something. And it doesn't make sense. Don't question it, guys. Don't question it. That was one of those that happened. Every bit of Dad Talk has just been God sent, man. I mean, even from starting the podcast in the first place, I never set out to be a podcaster. I was an ice cream man, just another 9-to-5 working dad. But I don't know if it's because of the preacher son element or something. I've always had that little fire under my butt, and it's like, I can do this. And every step of the way, when I go after what I feel like I'm supposed to be going after, it always provides a way. Even with this, I'm 10% of the way. It's going to happen. I know it is. But I got to keep coming on here and pushing. Start listening to that voice and start telling yourself that you can. Okay? I don't want to sound like the nutty professor. Yes, I can. I love that scene. I love that scene. Anyway. But you can do it. You can do it. You just got to get out there and you got to push, guys. This movement can do it.
Guy, for 2 pieces of good news out of Texas. I know it's not always about Texas, but we got 2 pieces of good news that came out. recently.
So let me get 1 second. Erica Elvina Brown said, "Can you
Yeah.
start being a content creator on Facebook? I know several who get paid good money monthly." So here's the deal: with this being a murder case, with the type of stuff that we're talking about, with accusations and stuff, they don't monetize that. Guys, you have stuff. So I've got one thing: I can become a coach, and I can start cleaning this show up and become this little
Hey guys,
version of what
the
you
best
want
you can.
do that for money, or I can continue putting out the truth the way that I know how and asking. It's not that big of an ask if we get everybody to do a little bit. I want to stick to what I believe is right, and then that's just the way I'm going to do it. It's the hard way, but it's the right way. Yes, thank you, Father X. Yes, you said you got some news from Texas.
Today is day one. I saw Robert on earlier, and it reminded me of the time taken back bill is now officially law as of today. And this is when this is in Texas now. Not to steal Robert's thunder, but I'm going to steal a little bit here. He is working on a federal bill for the same thing, and this is basically where if if you get accused of accusations through CPS, and of course you beat them and all that, that time that you lost with your children, you go back to court and you could get that equal time back. So if you missed Christmas last year because of, issues, then you can go back and then you shall get, not may, shall get your time back with your children that next Christmas. So that was a huge win. As you know, Robert burned the midnight oil, getting that done. Man of one got it done.
Get it right then, you get it the next holiday.
Next holiday, yeah. Because I mean, again, we all know how this works. Is the holidays or whatever day it is, you go to pick your kids up. Magically, you get a silver bullet shot at you, so they don't have to give the kids up. You then go to court. They find out that you didn't do any of what was alleged, and then it's like, oh, too bad, so sad. Well, this bill, this now new law, will say, okay, well, that happened. It was found to be false, and you lost Christmas. Let's say you automatically, no matter what happens, you get the next year's Christmas, and it's not in place. It's basically is replacing that time. So much better than it used to be. The other one that came out is in Texas and other states have this. It's the 2503. It's custody interference. It's when you go to pick your kids up. They're not there. They do whatever they're going to do, and you don't get your kids that weekend. Now it is it depends on the municipality. It's by municipalities, so you have to go around and get your municipality to pass the ordinance. But they'll be fined a fine of up to $500 for each offense. So if I go to pick my kids up one day, they're not there, I file. And then if my municipality has passed that ordinance, that person would be charged $500 if found guilty. It's good that it's on the books because there's money involved. I mean, it's already a state jail felony as it is in most states, and I call it the Diet Coke of all state jail felonies. But this one, again, it's money, so they'll probably pass it.
These small wins, they go a long way, but at the end of the day, is it so hard for them legislators to look at this and say, okay, if this goes down, your ass is going to jail.
That's the way it should be.
That's the way it should be. You falsely accuse somebody. We proved it was wrong. And one thing when attorney Chris Smith was on here that I thought he said that we don't look at as much, and I think it needs to become a part of the conversation, is there's a difference in a good faith and a malicious accusation.
Right.
There is going to be sometimes when a parent might really think something happened and they're going off of something that was told to him. What was the one famous case? Daddy put his pee-pee on my pee-pee. And what did they find out? Dad had went and peed on top of the pee that the daughter had in the toilet because they only flushed it. If it's yellow,
let it mellow.
Flush it down. So he had peed on top of her pee, but Daddy put his pee-pee on top of my pee-pee. So there's a difference in a good faith accusation and a malicious accusation. In the case of a malicious accusation, you knowingly did this to try to get this. Your ass should be put in jail. And I think, personally, the punishment for that should be more severe than the one you accused.
I'll go for it being equal. Let's just start there. It should be
equal too.
Let's do equal.
I'm fine with getting something on the books, but at least you need some. I think three things should happen. You should lose custody, you should be put in jail, and there should be a fine.
Yep.
And then you show them, like, if you do this, this is what's going to happen. And that's not a big ask.
No,
That is not a big ask at all, man.
that'd be common sense. I mean, if a person perjures themselves on the witness stand, they should get in trouble.
Especially for somebody that would falsely accuse of sexual abuse or physical violence. That is an
Right.
evil person.
Yeah, I mean, Roberts pulled the evidence out. 80% of all domestic violence is done in during divorce. I think it's during divorces are found to not be true. Just no evidence whatsoever. 80%. The reason why it's 80%, we have a DA teaching attorneys how to do it.
It's 4 out of 5.
Yeah. I mean, they're encouraged to do it because there's no penalty for lying. But yeah,
I'd love to hear a legislator's reasoning on why you couldn't do that with the jail time. I would love to hear it because it's just going to be a mouthful of baloney.
Yeah.
But you create the media and you have the platform that's asking it, and you can put the feet to the fire. Because
Again,
this is common sense legislation, dude.
Yeah, very common sense. Well, how much positive media has come out of your efforts with the John Mass trial? I mean, I see every day people borrowing your material on TokTik and InstaSnap and all that stuff. But it's getting out there. I mean, hundreds of millions of views, and people are becoming more and more aware. I know we had Jimmy on, and he's down in his area, Texas, and he was just talking nonchalantly, and some guy said, "Oh yeah, I heard about the John Mass case."
That was at his job.
Yeah, that was his job. Yeah, and he, I mean, it's getting out there. We just need people to like and share this stuff because you just never know.
I won't say his name. I won't say his name, but there was a rock star that I was a huge fan of in the late 90s, Limp Bizkit, Korn era.
Mhm.
And hopefully he'll come on the show. He's trying to build himself up to share some of his story. It's an emotional story,
Yeah,
but sends me stuff every day. Sent me something yesterday that he was a singer in a big rock band. Hopefully you wouldn't mind me saying this because I'm not saying who he is. One day I get a message from him on my Facebook, and he said, "Eric, I'm the next John Mass." I saw that and I was like, whoa. Not what I expected. Not what I expected at all. You have no idea who's seeing what we're doing, and we take it for granted. People look at views. You don't know who that view is. It only takes that one person that can really make a difference to get a hold of that thing and that wants to get involved.
Vivek,
Man.
Vivek,
Yeah.
I always said on the stage, national stage, our issues. It's getting out there. You're right. You don't know who that one view is.
The thing that gets me is when you talk to the legislators, it's we got to stop making it about money. Dads always make it about money, and it's like, you SOB. You are the ones making it about money. I'm just so tired of playing the politics, man. I really am. It's common sense stuff. I am happy for any progress that gets made. The equal shared parenting, time taken, the 2503. I am.
Oh, yeah.
But even in that custodial interference, your ass should be going to jail. You're not doing what the judge told you to.
Right.
$500 fine. At least there's something now, because isn't it against the law to do it in the first place? Weren't they supposed to be going to jail and they weren't doing anything?
It's a state jail felony. It's 2503 is in a state jail felony. It's like right around the deletion or grape, or it's in the same family of that, and it's prosecuted something like 2% of the time. I think it's trying to remember my numbers that I came. I'm talking about Texas here. Nationally, it's the thing is, oh God, the police departments, even though they have access to the information, and this burns me up to no end for a million reasons, they don't code these things. They don't share this information. You actually have to, break into their database and get the information. Not to say that.
Comment right here, Up Your Food Game. He said, no good for children if a parent goes to jail. If a parent gets fined, all the decisions should be made for the benefit of the children. I honestly think a well-trained AI will decide better than humans. It's no good for children if the mom kills herself and then kills the kids. There's cases where, look, if somebody will make a allegation knowingly of that extent, that is a dangerous, dangerous person. And you might have a good parent on the other side that can take care of those children. That means one parent went to jail. This might be one of those cases you was asking earlier. Is there's cases where a mom or a dad doesn't need to be in their children's lives? This would be one of those cases. Here's a person to save their own butt or to keep control would make an accusation like this. That is a very, very dangerous person. And I'm going to tell you, if they'll do that to the parent of their child, they'll do it to anybody. And it's going to keep going on. When we see these cases where somebody is killing themselves and then killing the kids, all because they couldn't keep that custody or making those false accusations, there is no limit to what that type of person will do. No limit.
And I think you're getting a text here shortly from someone that we're both working with. Yeah.
Okay.
Not to get too, I know we're live and all that stuff, but yeah. Guys, be sure to like, share, and subscribe.
Love you.
Know that the Dad Talk Today team is in front, behind, and doing everything we can for the betterment of the kids. I don't know how else to say that, but
Yep, guys, we got to get out of here. Duty calls. Got to be there for one of our brothers. I'll say that much. Please keep that going down there. Dad Talk Today, no spaces, Cash App, Venmo, $100 level. You can win the Judy Ann. If you applied it, I can't do it. You can win the Judy Ann.
Get the Judy Ann. Make some new memories in the backseat of the car.
I don't know yet, but I think we'll be back on tomorrow. And I will let you guys know. Just watch the Facebook for details. Until then, Dwayne, I appreciate you coming on here and helping me carry it, brother.
All right. Glad to be here.
See you guys.
Have a good one.